We often believe that family is the safest place, a love without conditions, but sometimes it is those very close relationships that become the source of our deepest wounds. And amidst these paradoxes, a question arises: could there be a divine purpose from God even in this pain? God works in ways beyond our understanding. He does not only see the present, but also foresees things we cannot yet grasp. When a family member becomes the source of pain, criticism, and discouragement, it can feel as if your world is falling apart. But dear friend, what if God is not allowing this to destroy you, but rather using it to protect and elevate you? What if His hand is shielding you from harm you are not yet aware of? Consider the life of Joseph. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and cast into a foreign land. If we only look at the surface, Joseph's story seems to be nothing but a series of injustices and despair. But behind the scenes, God was weaving a plan far greater than anything Joseph or anyone else could have imagined. Every trial, every setback was not a rejection, but a divine redirection. What seemed like abandonment was actually God's way of positioning Joseph exactly where He had intended. So what about you? The tension you feel, the negative words spoken over you, the lack of support from someone you once trusted. Perhaps they are not just meaningless injustices, but the way God is redirecting you. Maybe He is building a hedge of protection around you, shielding you from something you cannot yet see. It is easy to be consumed by pain, but the real test is trusting in God's plan. While you only see scattered pieces, He sees the full picture. Life is not always easy, but every difficult season has a purpose. Sometimes God removes someone from your life, not to punish you, but to fulfill His promise to you. A relationship that constantly makes you doubt your worth or holds you back is not something from God. God created you for a special purpose, a calling that only you can fulfill. If someone is pulling you away from that plan, why would He allow you to remain trapped in their grip? Perhaps the heartbreak you are experiencing is His call for you to wake up and see things from a divine perspective. Perhaps He is whispering into your heart at this very moment, "Trust me, I am removing what you do not need to make room for what I have prepared for you." We often ask, why is God allowing this pain? But maybe a better question is, what is He teaching me through this? Sometimes God is not only protecting you, but refining you, preparing you for something far greater than you ever imagined. The tears you shed are not meaningless. They are threads in His divine tapestry, each detail woven with purpose. Now, let us explore 6 clear signs that God is protecting you from a family member who is pulling you down. These are not coincidences. They are intentional arrangements by a loving and protective God. Pay attention to these signs and trust that His plan is always for your good. Sign 1, when you distance yourself, you feel peace, freedom, purpose, and peace. 3 precious things God desires for His children. When you distance yourself from someone and feel relief, that is not just a passing feeling, it is a divine sign that God is protecting you. The peace He gives is not like the fleeting peace the world offers. It is deep, lasting, and beyond understanding. If you notice that when you are away from a certain family member, your mind becomes clearer, your sleep is more restful, and your heart feels lighter, that is no accident. It is the protection of God, a gift from the one who loves you unconditionally. Just as a father longs to keep his child away from harm, He is pulling you out of the chaos that person may bring. Reflect on how God led the Israelites out of Egypt, Exodus 14. They lived under oppression, enslaved by Pharaoh, suffering daily exploitation and injustice. That was never the life God intended for them. But when He brought them out of Egypt, what happened? At first the Israelites were afraid because they were too familiar with what had been, even though it was painful. They even complained to Moses, longing to return to Egypt simply because they did not know what lay ahead. But as they crossed the Red Sea and entered the wilderness, a miracle happened. They were no longer oppressed, no longer in fear of being beaten or exploited, and they began to experience something they never had before: freedom and peace. Like the Israelites, you might be in a relationship that you have become accustomed to enduring even though it hurts you. You may struggle to step away because familiarity makes you fear the unknown. But remember, God does not call you to live under oppression. He calls you to step into the peace He has prepared for you. When God removes you from a toxic situation, He is not just leading you away, He is fighting to protect you. As Exodus 14:14 declares, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. But there are relationships where no matter how hard you try, peace cannot exist. When you are too close to a toxic situation, your perception becomes distorted and your judgment clouded. Distance does not always mean permanent separation, but it is often a necessary pause to allow you to see clearly how that relationship is truly affecting you. Imagine standing in the middle of a dense forest surrounded by thick trees. When you are too close, you cannot see any path out, but when you step back, you begin to notice the light piercing through the leaves, a way out appearing where you could not see before. Distance brings clarity, helping you discern whether this relationship aligns with God's plan for you. Psalm 34 verse 14 teaches, "Turn from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it." Sometimes pursuing peace means letting go of what disrupts it, even if that person is someone close to you. This is not an act of selfishness, but an act of obedience. Because when you are in God's peace, you are in the very center of His will. God understands that this decision is not easy. He knows your pain, the struggle in your mind, and the emotions that tear at your heart. But He also promises, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." Deuteronomy 31:6. He does not just pull you out of relationships that harm you, He fills that void with His love and protection. You do not need to feel guilty for stepping back to protect the peace God has given you. He has not called you to live in turmoil. He has called you to step into a life of abundance in Him. Trust that He is working for your good, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. Take time to pray in moments of peace. Ask God to reveal His plan for this relationship, to give you wisdom on whether to continue or to let go. And as His peace covers your soul, remember that He has never abandoned you. He is protecting you, even when that means leading you away from what you once thought was familiar. Sign 2. One of the clearest ways God protects you from a toxic family member is by opening your eyes to see their true intentions. At first, this can be confusing and even heartbreaking because you once believed this relationship was built on love and trust. But when God moves, He does not allow you to remain blind to the manipulation, jealousy, or toxic patterns you have endured for so long. Perhaps in the past you made excuses for their actions, telling yourself they didn't mean any harm, that they loved you in their own way. But when God shines light on the truth, you begin to see what you once refused to acknowledge. The controlling words, the dismissive behaviors, the moments when they diminished your worth to elevate themselves, all of it was never your imagination. It was God awakening you from illusion, because He does not want you trapped in a relationship that destroys your spirit. The Bible says, "For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought to light." Luke 8:17. When God reveals someone's true intentions, it is not a coincidence. He is pulling you out of the shadows of pain so you can see them for who they really are and make wise decisions. This revelation can come with deep pain because sometimes the one who hurts you the most is the one you love the most. But remember, God does not reveal the truth to harm you. He reveals it to set you free. He does not want you living in deception, hoping for something that isn't real, or continuing to endure unfair treatment. You may ask yourself, what do I do next? Should I walk away? Clarity does not always mean immediate disconnection, but it is an invitation to set boundaries. Boundaries that protect your heart and spirit from unnecessary wounds. God does not call you to harbor resentment or seek revenge, but He also does not want you trapped in a harmful relationship. He wants you to walk in wisdom, and sometimes wisdom is knowing when to keep your distance. At first you may feel anger, betrayal, or confusion, but remember, even when people let you down, God remains faithful. He sees the tears you cry, the sleepless nights caused by injustice, the times you tried and received nothing in return, and He is leading you to a better place, a place where true love exists, free from manipulation and jealousy. Trust that when God reveals the truth, He also gives you the strength to face it. Do not fear clarity, for in it you find freedom. Sign 3. You experience a season of isolation, but discover a deeper purpose. When God wants to protect you from a toxic family member, He may not expose them right away. Instead, He gently but surely removes you from their circle. This is when calls go unanswered, doors that were once open quietly close. This can be disorienting because as humans we crave connection, but sometimes connection can become a chain. When you cling too tightly to someone who is not part of God's plan, you risk being suffocated by their expectations, bound by their words, and trapped in patterns that God never intended for you. Think of Joseph's story. He was once surrounded by those closest to him, his own brothers. But the very people he trusted were the ones who betrayed him, threw him into a pit, and stripped him of everything he had. What Joseph did not know at the time was that God was separating him to prepare him for something greater. Had he remained with his family, would he have become the governor of Egypt, saving millions from famine? No. His isolation was not abandonment, it was divine positioning. As Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Sometimes God needs you to step away from the noise of relationships so you can hear His voice. If you had never felt lonely, you would never have longed for His presence in a deeper way. Imagine standing in the middle of a bustling city where thousands of voices rise all at once. You try to hear a single melody amid the car horns, conversations, and chaos, but you cannot. Only when you step away, find a quiet place, do you hear the melody clearly. In the same way, God sometimes removes you from loud relationships so you can discover your true purpose. You see, when someone with a negative influence is taken out of your life, the loneliness can initially be painful. But as you spend time with God, as you seek Him in moments of stillness, you begin to see the bigger picture. You realize that the peace you now feel is not random. You start to understand that there are dreams, plans that God placed in your heart long ago, but you never pursued them because you were held back by the voices around you. And then one day a miracle happens. You wake up and realize that you are no longer grieving that loss. You no longer feel empty because of their departure. Instead, you feel clarity, strength, and a deep longing to walk in God's calling for your life. Your season of isolation is not abandonment, it is preparation. And when this season ends, you will realize that God was not just protecting you from someone who could harm you, He was placing you exactly where He intended you to be. If you are in a season where people seem to be distancing themselves from you, do not be discouraged or question God's plan. Be still. Pray. Trust that He is leading you to a place you cannot yet see, because one day you will look back and thank Him for protecting you, even when you did not realize it at the time. Sign 4, their negative words no longer hurt you. Words can be a fire that burns the soul or a soothing stream that heals wounds. In the past, a family member's criticism may have felt like a whip lashing against your self-worth. But then one day you realize their words no longer hurt you. Not because they stopped speaking, but because God has built an invisible shield around your mind. God does not stop people from speaking against you, but he stops their words from taking root in your heart. Like a storm crashing against a rock, waves may roar, but they cannot break a firm foundation. Ephesians 6:16 says, "Take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one." When you stand firm in faith, negative words lose their power. Have you noticed that people who speak harsh words often seek a reaction from you? They wait for you to be hurt, angry, or discouraged. But when God elevates you, you no longer respond the way you used to. You become unmoved because you know your worth is not determined by human words, but by the Creator himself. But as God works in you, he breaks every chain of bondage. You step into the freedom he gives, not controlled by the opinions of others. Like an eagle soaring high, it does not concern itself with the crows cawing below. When God changes you, you are no longer drawn into their negativity. Words that once cut deep now pass by like the wind. You stop seeking validation from people because God already affirmed you before you were even born. Instead of replaying their criticism in your mind, you begin to meditate on God's promises. You no longer say, "They say I am not enough," but instead declare, "I have called you by name. You are mine." Isaiah 43:1. When God's word becomes your foundation, negative words lose their grip. Eventually, not only do their words no longer wound you, but you begin to feel compassion for them. You realize they too are broken people, full of insecurities and fears. And as you surrender that pain to God, he turns bitterness into mercy. Forgiveness does not mean allowing them to continue hurting you, but it does mean their words no longer control your heart. You no longer see yourself through their lens, but through the loving eyes of God. If you notice that their words no longer affect you as before, know this is not by chance. It is a clear sign that God is guarding your heart, renewing your mind, and leading you into a freedom only he can give. Stand firm in his promises, for no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Sign 5, you are surrounded by new, uplifting, and positive relationships. There are seasons in your life when one door closes, another opens, but in that moment, all you see is darkness. When God removes you from a toxic family relationship, you may feel lost, hurt, and even abandoned. But if you pay attention, you will realize that he does not leave you alone. The clearest sign of his protection is how he orchestrates new relationships. People who arrive at just the right time, speak the right words, and help you rediscover yourself. Think of a tree in winter. As the cold winds blow, dead leaves fall, and its bare branches seem lifeless. But within, a quiet preparation for spring is taking place. The old leaves must fall so that new buds can emerge. God allows certain people to leave your life, not to leave you empty, but to make space for the ones he truly wants to place in your life. These new relationships are not coincidences. They are his divine arrangements to remind you that you are never alone. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Ecclesiastes 4:9, verse 10. When you are surrounded by negativity for too long, your soul becomes weary. The harsh words, the control, the emotional manipulation, they have drained you, possibly without you even realizing it. But when God rescues you, he does not just pull you out of the darkness, he places you in the light. The new people in your life are not just friends or acquaintances. They are carriers of healing. They do not need to know every detail of your story, but their presence is a divine reminder that God is with you. They lift you up when you are exhausted, speak encouragement when you doubt yourself, and love you with an unconditional love that reflects the heart of God. But you must also nurture these relationships. A young tree needs water to grow, and friendships need care to flourish. If God has placed these people in your life, cherish them. Invest time, love, and attention into these connections because they are not just a gift, they are a part of His greater plan for you. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. Thessalonians 5:11. However, be mindful of the temptation to hold on to bitterness. God did not remove you from a painful situation just for you to remain trapped in resentment. Forgiveness does not mean allowing a toxic person back into your life, but it does mean surrendering that burden to God. You do not need to seek revenge or demand justice. God will handle everything in His righteousness. And when you learn to let go, you will find your heart lighter, ready to embrace the good things He has prepared for you. The new relationships in your life are a mark of God's grace. They are part of His plan to lead you into a new season, a season of peace, joy, and spiritual growth. Open your heart, welcome the people He has placed around you, and trust that He is guiding you into a future filled with hope. Sign 6. Unexpected doors of opportunity open when they leave your life. There are things you have pursued for years, yet you kept facing obstacles. You prayed, you persisted, you did everything you could, but it felt like an invisible wall was blocking you from moving forward. Then one day, after letting go of a toxic relationship, doors that had long been shut suddenly open. Not because you became more skilled or worked harder, but because a barrier had been removed. Sometimes God will not release a blessing until He removes certain people from your life. You may not realize it, but that person may have been holding you back, whether through doubt, criticism, negativity, or even subtle manipulation that kept you from stepping into your full potential. Some family members may not have openly destroyed you, but they planted seeds of limitation in your mind, slowed your progress, and made you second-guess yourself. Consider the story of Abraham and Lot, Genesis 13. When Abraham and Lot traveled together, their herds grew too large for the land to sustain them, leading to strife between their shepherds. Though Abraham loved Lot, he understood that separation was necessary. He let Lot choose first, and as Lot went toward the fertile plains of Sodom, Abraham remained where God had placed him. And immediately after Lot departed, what happened? God spoke to Abraham and reaffirmed His promise. Genesis 13, 14 to 17. God did not reveal His promise to Abraham while Lot was still with him. He waited until Lot left before speaking about Abraham's future. This teaches us that some breakthroughs and blessings are waiting for you, but they will not come until the people who are not meant for your journey are no longer in the picture. Perhaps you have been in a situation where for years you felt stuck. You prayed for growth in your career, for new opportunities, for doors to open, but everything seemed delayed, blocked for reasons beyond your understanding. Then, after a certain person left your life, a person who constantly criticized you, discouraged you, or filled your mind with negativity, you suddenly noticed a shift. Opportunities appeared, invitations came, and the path that once seemed impossible now lay wide open before you. God knew that if you stepped into your season of blessings with that person still in your life, they could derail you, distract you, or even hinder His plan. So He proactively removed them so that He could lead you where only He could take you. Isaiah 43:19 says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." God never closes a door without opening a better one. When He removes someone from your life, it is not a loss. It is divine orchestration. He is doing a new thing, preparing a path that you could not see while you were still entangled in a toxic relationship. If you look back and realize that after a certain person left, your life suddenly became more peaceful, new opportunities emerged, and your mind became clearer, know that it was not by chance. It is a sign that God is protecting you. He has been waiting to bless you, but first He needed to remove what was not meant for you. So instead of mourning the loss, trust in His guidance. Allow Him to close the doors that need to be closed and open the ones meant for you. He knows exactly who should stay and who needs to leave. Walk in faith, knowing that the best is yet to come. Dear friend, your journey may not be easy, and the pain of parting from a loved one may weigh heavily on your heart, but take comfort in this. Every separation God allows is not a punishment, it is a preparation. Every closed door is not an ending, it is the beginning of something new. Even when you do not understand why things happen the way they do, trust that He is working for your good. Just as He protected Joseph, guided the Israelites, and prepared a path for Abraham, He is doing the same in your life. The truth is, not everyone can go where God is taking you. Sometimes the very people you love are the ones preventing you from stepping into the divine purpose God has set before you. And when He removes someone from your life, it is not a loss,